to start a Hearing Voices group. A possibility. The purpose of this talk is to reflect on the issues surrounding the establishment of a Hearing Voices group, and to, where possible, guide and advise the establishment of such a group in your region of the United Kingdom. I am not going to state categorically how to start a Hearing Voices group, but I shall merely offer suggestions and comments. This talk is only an opinion. I shall talk primarily about what has been done in Pembrokeshire in West Wales. Hopefully, the talk will be of interest and help to you and your colleagues, wherever you may find yourself in the United Kingdom. The seeds for the foundation of the Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group were sown in my mind in 1995. In about May 1995, I read a clear and intelligent article about voice hearing on the back page of Open Mind, the Mind magazine. Mind is, as you know, the leading mental health charity in England and Wales. The Mind article stated that voice hearing is a common feature of schizophrenia, and that there would be held in August 1995 the first International Hearing Voices Conference in Maastricht in Holland. The conference would involve voice hearers, mental health workers, academics, mental health professionals, and other individuals with an interest, professional or otherwise, in the phenomenon of voice hearing. On reading the article in Open Mind, I felt liberated, amazed, yet partly frightened. As someone who had been labelled by psychiatry as a schizophrenic in 1983, I now saw myself and my life in a new light. I used to think that the voices that I heard were thoughts, but now I realized that I, along with many others in Europe, was a voice hearer. I made arrangements to travel to Holland to attend a conference. I went. 3 travelled from Wales. The first International Hearing Voices Conference in Maastricht, Holland, was excellent and well organised. It was attended by about 300 people, mainly from Europe. I returned to Pembrokeshire and thought that it would be a nice idea to start a Hearing Voices group in my native county. In about October 1995, I made an appointment to see Guy Norman, the Pembrokeshire mental health worker for West Wales Action for Mental Health. West Wales Action for Mental Health is a voluntary sector mental health organisation that enables voluntary sector groups in West Wales to start, to grow, to consolidate, and to resolve internal and/or external difficulties. I explained that I'd been to Holland in August, and that it would be a nice idea to start a Hearing Voices group in Pembrokeshire. Guy Norman agreed with this idea. The purpose of the group would be primarily to raise awareness of the phenomenon of voice hearing and to try to help voice hearers and their allies in a progressive, positive and emancipatory manner. I was partly frightened about starting a Hearing Voices group in rural West Wales, but I knew that this was the way forward. Guy Norman of West Wales Action for Mental Health and I arranged a public talk at Withybush Conference Centre in Haverfordwest. The guest speaker was Ron Coleman. Labelled by psychiatry as, in inverted commas, a chronic schizophrenic in 1993. He has travelled and lectured extensively in Europe and the United States of America, speaking in public about voice hearing. He is a former coordinator of the Hearing Voices Network in Manchester. The title of Coleman's talk in Haverfordwest in March 1996 was Hearing Voices, Rumours of Madness. It was an excellent evening, attended by about 70 people, mainly from Pembrokeshire. At the end of the evening, about 25 people gave their name, address and telephone number so that they could be placed on the contact list of the new Hearing Voices group. As a direct result of the Rumours of Madness evening in March 1996, it was decided to form a Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group. From about May 1996 until about May 1997, the new Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group met monthly at a pub in Haverfordwest. The group was given a grant of £200 to finance the holding of these meetings and to finance the free distribution of 20 copies of Paul Baker's publication, The Voice Inside, A Practical Guide to Coping with Hearing Voices. Monthly meetings at this stage used to be divided into two parts. In the first part of each meeting, voice hearers and non-voice hearers discussed ways of raising public awareness of the phenomenon of voice hearing in Pembrokeshire and what we as a group should do to advance our concerns regarding the stigma of mental illness. In the second half of each meeting, voice hearers had an opportunity to talk about their voices, what psychiatric orthodoxy refers to as auditory hallucinations, and about their visions, what psychiatric orthodoxy refers to as visual hallucinations. However, this 2-hour arrangement was unsatisfactory. 1 minute the group was a campaigning organisation, trying to import new ideas from Holland and England, and trying to raise social awareness of voice hearing. The next minute, the Hearing Voices group was essentially a forum for users of mental health services to talk about voices and visions. In short, the Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group lacked focus in this format. Furthermore, by May 1997, it lacked funds. In about May 1997, the Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group changed direction. Monthly meetings now were held at no cost at another venue in Haverfordwest, a pub. Meetings involved voice hearers, mental health professional care workers, a paid mind worker, a statutory sector mental health worker, and a representative from West Wales Action for Mental Health. Meetings number about 7 or 8 individuals. The aims of the Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group are fivefold. 1. To support a Pembrokeshire network of people who hear voices and their allies, to better understand the experience alongside workers, families and friends. 2. To set up self-help groups of voice hearers to share experiences and to discuss strategies for coping with voices. 3. To raise awareness of society about the meaning of voices, to reduce ignorance and stigma. 4. To develop a range of non-medical ways of assisting people to cope with their voices. 5. To share the experience of voice hearers who have not been in contact with psychiatric services with those who have. What has the Hearing Voices group in Pembrokeshire done, and what does it do? Well, photocopies of mental health articles from the specialist and general UK press are issued at the monthly meetings. Photocopies are also distributed to certain other key mental health workers in the county. Articles originate from Breakthrough, Asylum, Mental Health Care, Psychiatric Care, the Nursing Times, as well as the Times, the Sunday Times, Daily Telegraph, Sunday Telegraph, the Observer, and the Guardian. These types of photocopies form to a significant extent the basis of Hearing Voices, an information pack that was published in July 1998. Due to funding from the National Lottery Charities Board Wales, 200 copies of the pack were distributed in Pembrokeshire and beyond. The Hearing Voices group in Pembrokeshire held a Hearing Voices Awareness Day in July 1998. The day was entitled Insanity or Enlightenment. The day attracted between 80 and 90 attendees. Guest speakers on the day included an honorary lecturer in nursing studies at Manchester University, 2 representatives from the Hearing Voices network, also in Manchester, a Pembrokeshire art therapist, and the chair of the Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group. The day was generally regarded as a success. Psychiatric Day Hospital in Haverfordwest closed down on the day to enable staff and voice hearers to attend. The Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group holds a monthly video club at Pembrokeshire Mindshare Benfro Resource Centre in Haverfordwest. The club shows a TV programme, a video film, or a training film connected in one way or another to mental health, schizophrenia in inverted commas, and or voice hearing. Attendance and refreshments are free. The video program each month lasts about 30 minutes, and it is followed by a discussion on the video itself. The Hearing Voices group in Pembrokeshire also issues a monthly newsletter. The newsletter is entitled Hearing and Belonging. Hearing and Belonging deals with voice hearing, schizophrenia in inverted commas, and or mental health from a variety of perspectives. It aims to raise awareness of various issues in a modern, progressive and integrative manner. Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group is a small yet broad coalition umbrella group of voice hearers and mental health workers. Its chair is a voice hearer, its vice chair is a voice hearer. Both secretary and treasurer are mental health workers. The group covers a population area of approximately 113,000 people. Under the umbrella of this group, I hope that various Hearing Voices self-help groups will emerge throughout Pembrokeshire in the next 5 to 10 years. However, this may be difficult, as Pembrokeshire is largely a rural community with widely scattered centres of population. Transport difficulties, or indeed flashes of paranoia on the part of voice hearers, may mean that voice hearers are reluctant to form a self-help group in Tembe, Pembroke Dock, or say St David's. The stigma of mental illness, in inverted commas, among certain people in the UK remains considerable, but overall I think that time is on the side of the lunatic, in inverted commas. As you may already be aware, by the year 2020, more people in the UK will have, according to the World Health Organization, mental health problems than physical ailments. A mental health problem may include stress, depression, anorexia nervosa, bulimia, manic depression, a nervous breakdown, and/or schizophrenia. Since Ron Coleman's talk in Haverfordwest in March 1996, the Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group has achieved much and has had an influence on people in Pembrokeshire and beyond. With other key individuals and organisations in the county, it has had an effect in terms of humanising and sensitising mental health service provision in the county. Voice hearers are now allowed to talk about their voices with community psychiatric nurses and with consultant psychiatrists without necessarily being sectioned. Cognitive behavioural therapy is active in Pembrokeshire. Furthermore, most mental health workers in Pembrokeshire are now aware of the courageous and pioneering work of Professor Dr. Marius Rom and Sandra Escher from Holland. Any voice hearing group must realise that the group is far bigger than any one individual, and that the group is far bigger than the sum of its parts. In the next 12 months, the Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group hopes to have its own website on the internet, and it also hopes to hold a psychosis and creativity concert involving music, drama, poetry, and art. How you decide to form your Hearing Voices group will depend on you and your colleagues. What I suggest, and it is only a suggestion, is the establishment of a user-led coalition umbrella group covering a large population health trust area. The coalition umbrella group would consist of voice hearers, carers, mental health workers who have an open-minded and positive interest in a phenomenon that has been with us for at least 12,000 years. Under that umbrella coalition group, there would emerge various voice-hearing self-help groups in due course, if they are not already in place. Power struggles and/or self-aggrandizement have no civilized place in a voice-hearing group, or for that matter in any mental health organization. The primary concern of any voice-hearing group must be the voice hearer who, as a result of hearing voices, finds living difficult. The primary threat that faces the mentally ill, in inverted commas, in political terms, is the fascist right. They thrive on ignorance and fear in order to promulgate death. Consequently, I suggest that all hearing voices groups in the UK, and indeed all mental health organisations in the UK, are anti-sexist, anti-racist, and anti-homophobic. The 20th century lesson of Nazism means that all voice hearers, in particular those labelled by psychiatry as schizophrenic, in inverted commas, must be anti-sexist, anti-racist, and anti-homophobic, no matter how lonely or tortuous these progressive positions of belief may be to you personally, socially, and/or culturally. I wish to play a song by Tom Waits, the Black American singer-songwriter. The song that I shall play is called "And a Little Rain Never Hurt No One." It is a song about misfits. It is a song about people who fit badly into their contemporary society. And voice hearers do fit badly into their contemporary society. In this respect, voice hearers are like deaf people, blind people, the unemployed, the low-paid, the worried, the physically handicapped, black people, people with mental health problems, gays, lesbians, bisexuals, transsexuals, women, single mothers, Native American Indians, Gypsies, Aborigines, the Maya people from South and Central America. All these people fit badly into their contemporary society, whether they happen to find themselves living in Britain, the United States of America, Australasia, Mexico, Peru, or Abercrombie. In spite of the fact that this song has been written by someone on the margins of society, the song that you will hear is about hope and a better day. It is about transcending alienation, whether you, as a lunatic, in inverted commas, have been sexually, emotionally, and/or physically traumatized, or whether you have been affected by severe drug psychosis, in inverted commas, or whether you are a mental health worker. In the words of Tom Waits, "And a little rain never hurt no one." There is a line in the song that you will hear that says, "You must risk something that matters." When I hear those words, and when I hear the words that precede them, "The world is round and I'll go around," I think of Ron Coleman, a chronic schizophrenic, an individual whom I regard as the bravest Scotsman of his generation. Coleman has travelled to various Western countries, Europe, America, lecturing about voice hearing. When I hear the song that will follow, I also think of the Hearing Voices movement in Europe, an organization with which Ron Coleman has been particularly involved. And I also think of the brave and innovative work of Professor Dr. Marius Blom and Sandra Escher from Holland. Psychiatric orthodoxy must change. It must change in the sense that it must no longer see voice hearing as being essentially a biochemical disease of the brain. The ultimate purpose of a Hearing Voices group is to deconstruct psychopathology. The song that you will now hear is called, as I mentioned earlier, "And a Little Rain Never Hurt No One." The singer, as I mentioned earlier, is Tom Waits.
Well, the Iceman's mule is parked outside the bar, where a man with missing fingers plays a strange guitar, and a German dwarf dances with the butcher's son. And tonight a little rain never hurt no one. Oh, the dancing on the roof and the ceiling's coming down. And I sleep with my shovel and my leather gloves, and a little trouble makes it worth the going, and a little rain never hurt no one. Oh, the world is round, and I'll go around. You must risk something that matters. Oh, my hands are strong, I'll take any man here. If it's worth the going, it's worth the ride. She was 15 years old, and she'd never seen the ocean. She climbed into a van with a vagabond, and the last thing she said was, "I love you, Mom." And a little rain never hurt no one. And a little rain never hurt no one. Da 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 da.
In conclusion, I hope that you, whether you are a voice hearer or a mental health worker, I hope that you will regard the establishment of a Hearing Voices group in your region of the UK as a possibility, whose time has arrived and whose time is beckoning. We live in a time of change, of economic turbulence and emotional upheaval. The world of mental health service provision is no exception. The most positive way forward is, in my assessment, to form a Hearing Voices group. And if that group can help just one person, then the whole exercise has been and is worthwhile. That concludes my talk. Thank you for listening. My name is Howell Davis. I am from the Pembrokeshire Hearing Voices group. It is October 1998.